New Wave Community Media.
It's just J-Mike.
Hey, Nefi.
Hey, Corey.
I'm back for more.
Oh, you liked that one, didn't you?
I am back for more. I kind of want to do a continuation of the last episode because there's a lot in there. But I kind of want to focus a little bit more on meditation.
I like that. Let's talk about that. Welcome back to another episode of Everything But Perfect. Let's start with what we like to call our Chit Chat Challenge. So today's question is, when do you feel most at peace?
When do I feel most at peace? Interesting.
But let's get into our episode. So last episode, we were talking about, my growth and one of the things that I was doing to focus on myself, and you brought up meditation. So what about meditation did you want to talk about today?
Well, I think one of the first things I wanted to point out is that everything that you talked about was new, right? It's not a new concept, but it was new to you.
Yeah.
There wasn't something that you can kind of work off of, like, oh, my dad used to do that, or my mom would tell you, right? It was you going on this journey on your own, finding these things and trying to apply them, trying to learn them, trying to understand them. And so I think let's start there. What was your first understanding of what meditation was prior to this journey, let's say?
I think prior to this journey, it was more about like meditation was just something to just to do to relax. Like that was kind of my understanding before all this. It was just like, oh, meditate so you can relax, and just kind of like, that was it. It wasn't like anything deep. It wasn't anything as what I know now and what I've learning about the spiritual part of it and how to center yourself, how to really use meditation to even heal yourself, to get information,
So that's what you learned now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But before it was like, it was just very simple, just meditate to relax, and that was it.
And you never felt the need to do it?
Back then, not really, because I just feel that back then I didn't really feel the need for it, because it was one of those situations. It was like, well, why do I need to meditate to relax? I could just watch TV. I could just listen to some music. I could do all these other things to relax. Why do I need to do that specific thing to achieve that?
Okay. And so you started on your journey and then you came across it.
Correct.
How did you learn about it more in depth and decided that you wanted to try it?
It was definitely during the event that I went to for my awakening, the awakening retreat that I went to. I think that was like the first time that I really dove into it and really understood it, because one of the things that I learned is like during meditation, it's also like, it's not just closing your eyes and relaxing. It's about breathing. It's about setting an intention. It's about what you want to get out of it. So for me, that's where I kind of like learned it. And that was actually one of the first times that I was able to do it. I feel that was the first time that I was able to do it properly, I should say, because before I would just kind of close my eyes and just kind of relax, and that was it. And I would say 8 out of 10 times I would just fall asleep, right? Because that's just how I am. But this time around, like, it was more in depth and more like with like the intention of what I'm going to do with it. So I think that was kind of like the first time I did it. And, it was kind of interesting because even though I did it at that retreat, when I tried to do it afterwards, it was still different. I feel like I wasn't there yet. I wasn't doing it properly because, there's times where I was lay there and I might do like a guided meditation, and, I would be fidgeting, like I'll move around, and all of a sudden I got an inch on my back, so I wasn't really being able to like focus on it at the early stages. But then as time went on, I was able to evolve and really being able to center myself and get into a meditative state.
Got it.
Because at the beginning it was just kind of like, I was just there and I'll just start listening to something else, or maybe the guided meditation might have said a certain word and that made me laugh, or just made me think about something else, or so it was me constantly trying to re-enter it or reset, so by the time I was done, I was like, okay, well, I reset it like 10 times, so I didn't really work.
Got it.
But then after a while I was able to really relax, allow my mind to just go blank. And even like the position that I was in, like, sometimes I would lay down, sometimes I'll sit up, but really even finding the right position to feel comfortable enough to stay in that position for a long period of time.
Why do you feel that you were able to do it properly at Awakening as opposed to when you came back?
I think it's because I never had the resources before. I'll look up some videos, you look, go on Google or whatever, and they just kind of say, just sit down and do it. But I feel at the Awakening, they really went through the process, like, okay, relax, So, I think the very first one we did, it was just, we're in a seated position and they're just relax, let your body loose, slowly close your eyes, and just listen to your breath as you're inhaling and exhaling. So I felt it was more of a step by step rather than here, just do it. And I think that's what made it different, because I was able to learn it and I was able to go through each step at a slower pace as well, and just listen to it live, I guess in a way, live time. I don't know if that's kind of weird to like say, because you're listening to it on YouTube, but when you have somebody in person to do it, it's a little bit different as well.
Mm-hmm. So how have you managed to continue to meditate now, in this space, our home, and actually get into it?
I think one of the biggest things that kind of helped me is kind of getting also like you on board with it, because I think at the beginning, like, it was hard for me to just like step away, like, hey, I'm going to go meditate real quick, and then because there's times where I'm like, well, I'd rather just hang out with you than to meditate. But knowing that this is something I want to do. So
I'm stopping you.
No, can I finish myself? But knowing that this is something I wanted to do, it kind of like helped, like I was able to still do it, because there were times where I'm like, hey, I'll be back, I'm going to go meditate and stuff like that. So for me, part of it is having somebody else who's there also joining you, but also creating a space for it, because I feel that we've been kind of working on like our home and kind of creating it more to our style and things like that. And one of the things that we've done is in the office, we kind of created more of a, I guess you could say, a Zen place. How would you describe it? Like more like a relaxing area. And, we kind of like even created our little fun nook, and we kind of put some affirmations on there. So really creating a space where you're able to go to separate from that. Because yes, you can meditate in your room, you can meditate in the living room, but when you have a designated area, it doesn't even have to be a room, just a corner or something, it kind of makes it easier to kind of get into it. And I think that was one of the steps that we took, or that I took, that helped me kind of get to that level, to allow myself to freely and allow myself to just open up. And I think one of the other thing too, some of the steps is just really going in with the intention of it. For example, like when I start meditating, I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to release stress? Do I want to relax my body? Do I want to know what part of my body I need to work on? If it's like maybe my shoulders are hurting, maybe my legs are hurting, or maybe I need to drink more water, So really kind of setting an intention at the beginning also helps me to dive into it as well. I know that for you, you've been kind of like being a little bit more participant in the meditation. I know for you, it was a little bit hard at the beginning. Why don't you share a little bit of that?
It was really hard for me, actually, because, you came with this already like kind of experience, right? Mm-hmm. That you had at Awakening. And like I said in the beginning, I didn't ever see myself meditating. I thought it was something that rich people did, to tell you the truth. Because I remember reading and, seeing people meditating. I'm like, dang, I wish I had the time, and that's how I just perceived it. And from the moment I learned about it till now, pretty much, that it was something that was not attainable for me because I needed to work. I was, the working mom, and I didn't have time to just sit there and be like, oh, and so when the first time I tried it, I think that was still, like what you said earlier, relaxing was maybe reading a book or just laying in bed, not doing anything. And I felt that meditating, I still had to think. And I think we started with guided meditation, and I was trying to make sense of what she was saying. So, for example, sometimes they say like just random off the wall stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they're like, picture you're outside, and then there's a bright yellow light, and there's palm trees, and there's a bed of water. And then I'm like, okay, are you at the ocean? Why is there pink colors? Is it sunset? Like, where are the palm trees? Are they in the middle of the island? Like, so I was just trying to analyze every single thing that she would say to try to make sense of it so that then I could do it.
Oh, I see.
And it obviously did not work.
Yeah.
And then I remember telling you, I said, can we try not guided meditation? Because I felt like I was getting distracted by what they were saying.
Right.
And so we tried it, and I felt I was able to get a little bit more into it. I was able to feel like, okay, like at least I can clear my mind at the very least. And slowly but surely, again, as you start to learn and grow and focus on yourself, it becomes a lot more natural. And it becomes a part of you. I don't do it as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
But I can now, I'm like aware enough to know when I need to do it at the very least.
That's
right.
true.
So if it's a Tuesday and I'm like, oh, like the other day, I remember I was on the treadmill. I try to do the treadmill like every day, right? For 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And normally it feels good. Once you're there and you're running and you're like, oh, the music is going, whatever you're doing, it feels good. And this time I was like, it doesn't feel right. It wasn't enough. And so the next day I was like a little hesitant. I was like, okay, like I don't want to feel like that. When I do something, I want it to be purposeful. Like my intention has to be clear. And instead of going downstairs to jump on the treadmill, I just came, to our corner here, and I did a meditation. And I was able to relax, and I was able to kind of clear my head, like everything, like that day was a good day. And I think that's what I needed. So I'm slowly, again, learning. I can now do a guided meditation, which is progress. And so, just getting consistent with it and trying to really see how it works for me.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm learning.
And that's definitely one of the benefits of meditating, is you're able to do that. You're able to just relax. And, I think it's another example of that is like you said, like last time, like a few weeks ago, like I had a trip, I was going to go on a trip, right? And I just felt so anxious, I was just like, I don't know. I think you even like noticed that you picked it up. You're like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. And at first I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I was like, no, I know what it is. It's this trip. And it was the same thing. We lit an incense, I meditated, and it's true. And I think that's one of the things that I went through is like, I went through it, I meditated, and right after it, I felt like at peace. I felt okay. I knew that this trip was going to work out. I knew that it was going to be a good trip and all that stuff. And then it just went away. So I think those are one of the benefits that people can achieve from meditation is clarity, clearing your mind. If you're feeling, stuck on a problem, or, you're unsure of what to do, or maybe you have a decision to make or something, allow yourself to just clear your mind, meditate, and just relax. And the funny thing is that when you do that, answer starts coming to you. Yeah. And, I feel that we've kind of gotten to that point where just like, even when I feel that I'm looking for something or I'm wondering about something, I'll kind of do a meditation, and then I kind of find what I was looking for, which is, I think that's kind of shows that part of that growth. You know, before you're doing it for one thing, but now we're kind of doing it for more additional things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's true because I I've learned, and now I am a believer that we hold all the answers, but life happens. There's so many other things that take precedence sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And it's hard to kind of, clear your thoughts. And so I've definitely learned too that if I'm looking for an answer, and it's not like it's like a clear answer, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be how you interpret it, or what you're really trying to seek, but it's going to give you at least a starting point to be like, oh, okay, maybe that makes sense, or this is maybe where I should start. So you got to look within yourself.
Yeah. Have you seen a difference between the guided meditations and the non-guided ones?
Yeah. I mean, I guess when I finally understood how to more or less meditate, I understood that the guided meditation is just that, a guide. It's not telling you what to do, right? And understanding that, at least for me, made the difference, because, they'll be like, whatever they'll say through the guide. And to me, sometimes I interpret it differently, but I allow myself to still interpret it in that way. And so it's, again, understanding it's a guide, and it's not, don't follow it step by step. I think at the beginning, sure, once you're learning, but now I take it just as that, the beginning, and then I go on my own.
Right.
The ones that are non-guided, I think I utilize that too. I finally learned to just, whatever comes to mind is that. It's not trying to, I mean, sometimes we might have like this intention going into it, but something else might come up, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like, wait, I really wanted some, like clarity, but now I'm just floating. Like, what does that mean? Like, sure, just allow it.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. I listen to a lot of, obviously I love music, but I've been listening to a lot of just kind of lo-fi music.
Nice.
That allows me to kind of stay at a very, like, in a nice place. And so when I do feel, because again, it's hard, right? We're working, like life is happening. You can't just be like, oh, I'm feeling anxious, let me go close my eyes and meditate, right? When you're driving. And so it's not always something that you're going to be able to do right at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point I will be able to just kind of control myself in that aspect. But, for now, I understand that it's like a work in progress. And so when I do feel anxious, or I feel that I need that, and I don't have the time to just sit there and meditate, I allow the music to kind of bring me down and kind of start to ground myself, and just allow it to feel what I need to feel.
Yeah.
Which thankfully for me, most of the time is just like that specific type of music is like very calming and like very powerful. It gives me like that courage. Be like, all right, cool. Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
I could do this, whatever it is that I'm having a problem with.
Yeah. And then, and that's the other thing too. I feel that you could utilize it for different things, like for me, the guided meditations, I use those for specific things. Like, for example, it's kind of funny, but I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there's a rapper by the name of Lil Jon. He actually has 10 guided meditations for 10 minutes. And the cool thing about these is, like, obviously, like, I would assume a lot of, at least our generation, know who Lil Jon is. And, you think of him and you think of this person who's loud, who's like just crazy and stuff like that. But if you listen to it, it's really there to just help you focus. And I think one of my favorite ones from his is called Body Scan. Which actually we did that last night.
Mm-hmm.
And those are pretty cool because through the guided, it tells you, okay, focus on, as you're breathing, focus on your toes, focus on your feet, and, whatever feeling, whatever emotions, whatever comes up, just allow it to happen. Right. And it's funny because as I was doing that, I kind of felt when I got to my lower back yesterday during the meditation, I kind of felt like kind of like a strain. Like I was like a pull. I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? So I was just like, I continued doing the meditation. And then after we're done, I found that I was like, okay, I started thinking kind of like, okay, what would that mean? Why would my lower back be hurting? And then I kind of started rethinking about what we did during the day. And we did a lot of like labor stuff, right? Like, yesterday we kind of worked on our lawn.
Get a house, they said. It's going to be nice, they said. And then you have to do all the lawn work and everything.
So we were doing some lawn work yesterday, and, lawn work is physical labor. We're out there with rakes and stuff like that, really like working to it. So, but then at that point I was like, that's what it is, like we were doing heavy work so that way I kind of knew that my back was going to hurt from that. And then from that point, I was able to stretch it out and I was able to kind of loosen it up so that I don't get stiff, because knowing myself, I do know that sometimes when I do those type of works, my back gets stiff and, it kind of lingers for a few days. But I was like, okay, I caught it. Let me stretch it out. I had you kind of crack my back as well. And then I felt better. And then that was last night. And then today I was like, okay, yeah, I still feel a little sore, but I didn't feel that tightness that I would normally feel in the past if I wasn't able to really fine tune and like know.
Yeah, you became aware of that part of your body and you focused on it to try to heal it. And that's what we need to do, right?
Exactly.
We need to focus on those parts of us that we need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it doesn't mean and it's like healing in the sense of like you're aware, so you know what to do. Mm-hmm. You're not going to go and, do crazy cartwheels if your lower back is hurting, right? You're going to tend to it. You're going to nurture it in a sense. And I think that's, interesting that you say, because again, we meditated at the same time, and this is not the first time that we've done this, this specific one at least. And the very first time I did it, I was like, wow, like it. We walk around and we grab things, but we're not always aware of like our fingers, the power that is to have fingers, the fingernails. And, as that meditation goes through every part of your body, like I remember I was like, wow, like I'm feeling it. Like you feel your hands and you're like, that's so cool. And you feel like your legs and your toes and everything. This time around yesterday, I did it and I went a different route.
Huh.
Again, I allowed my mind, whatever, to my subconscious, if you will, like to just go where it needed to go. And it went to a place of gratitude for my body, for my knees, for my hands, that I was able to hold the rake. I was able to for my ears, listening to music while we did that. Like, I was just grateful for every single part of my body. So as we were going through the scan, it was a thank you to my feet, to my ankles for supporting the rest of my body, for my thighs, for my knees, allowing me to bend down. And it feels so good to thank yourself. Like it's not something that we do so often. And, I know when we're in school, sometimes like, okay, pat on the back or hug yourself, and you're like, yeah, whatever. But when you really set that intention to thank your body for just being your body, it's an amazing feeling. And so that's where I went,
nice.
But I feel like had, the old version of me, the beginning stages, I probably would have been like, this is not a gratitude freaking meditation. This is a body scan. Like, let me focus,
Yeah.
So yeah, those are the little things that I've learned.
That's cool. And the other thing too, I think for our listeners is, we're talking about this. We're talking about like taking time and do it for yourself, and it doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes. can be a minute. It could be 30 seconds. It could be whatever time you need, then that's what it is, right? Because I feel that a lot of times people get stuck where it's like, well, I don't, like you said earlier, I don't have time to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
But what's 5 minutes? What's 10 minutes? What's a minute? Even at work, like we have 10-minute breaks. Like, take 5 of those minutes just to sit there and if you're able to sit there in a quiet place and just release.
Yeah. And that's all you need. Sometimes we need, again, just to be aware of what we need at that time. And I, like last week also, as an example, like I work from home, and so our like computer personal desk is next to my work desk. Mm-hmm. And I had a meeting with my life coach, and I only had maybe like 10 minutes from when the time I got off of work to jump to our desk here and log on. And, I grabbed a glass of water and I was like, all right, the first thing, she's like, how are you feeling? We kind of went through it. I said, I just got off of work. And she's like, perfect. Let's kind of write down, let's do kind of like a brain dump. And then let's just close our eyes and we're going to do some breath work. And it was like a very short meditation. Cause she was like, okay, release, try to have your energy flow through your body and just kind of like try to clear your head of things that you no longer need at this moment. And we went through that and I could feel the difference. Yeah. I was then able to like, okay, I'm focused here now. I can let go of the leftover stuff that I was holding on from work. And so again, it was 5 minutes tops that we did that. So yeah, if you can find the time, to do other things, then do it. Do it when you're showering, like do it. Again, don't do it when you're driving because sometimes it does help to close your eyes, but you can reflect while driving. Oh, yeah. Right? You can be aware of maybe what your body needs. And then once you park, all right, let me close my eyes into it.
Yeah. So, I'm kind of getting called to do this. So why don't we take the opportunity and do a short meditation right now?
All right, let's do it.
Are you down for that?
Yep.
All right. So for our listeners who are out there, if you're able to, if you're at work, if you're at home, don't do this if you're driving, of course. But if you're able to, just kind of sit, relax, find a comfortable space, close your eyes, and breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and release for 4 seconds on my counts. Breathe in. Hold. Release. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Release. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Release. Breathe on your own, in through your nose, out through your mouth. Continue breathing. Think about each part of your body. Think about your head, shoulders, arms, your midsection, your legs, your feet, and your toes. If you feel any tension in any part of your body, as you're breathing out, release that tension. Let's take 2 deep breaths, as deep as you can. And release. One more time. Breathe in as deep as you can. Hold at the top. And release all the tension. Release all the stress. Release anything that doesn't serve you. Now slowly open your eyes. Wiggle your hand. Wiggle your toes. Shake your shoulders. Shake your legs. Tilt your head back and forth. One last breath deep in. And release. How do you feel about that?
Feels good.
Yeah.
It's just a quick little relaxation. And exhaling is that you're releasing that built up tension, that built up energy that you don't need at this moment. And you're breathing in what you do, fresh air, fresh ideas, fresh everything.
Exactly. So that was really relaxing. I enjoyed it. So for anybody out there, that was only 3 minutes too. So if you see that, just a quick little exercise like that could actually bring a lot of peace and relaxation into your life. So if you do that, the more you do it, the more consistently, the more you're able to feel that. So we challenge you to meditate. Try to do it, once a week. Try once a week and then increase it to 2 times a week and then continue increasing it and let us know how that affects you, how you felt, and slide into our DMs and let us know how you felt after our meditation.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you.
And if you guys want to engage more, make sure to visit us at www.newwavemedia.org. Make sure to subscribe to EBP on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to follow us at everythingbutperfect.podcast on Instagram.
And remember, love is an endless adventure, so cherish your connections and keep those conversations flowing.
So thank you very much and have a good night.
Bye.
Later.